Hey, what's up guys? DY Duelist here, back at you again finally with another Zing theory video. And today we're going to be covering all the new updated sick routes to play around Nibiru. The ultimate hand trap that all rogue decks, all rogue combo decks fear, And two reasons why I'm making this video specifically, number one, you might have noticed that I already made like an Anti-Nibiru video that covered a route, very early in the decks, like lifetime, relatively speaking, right? Early, um, and Master. I think it was still Master 04, that video, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's only one route, and with all the new cards that have come out, and Halgi Fire Racks, I mean, whew, amazing, great card, right? I think we can do a lot better. And just looking at the title, I mean, we have 9 different ways, right, to play around Nibiru. So I feel like an update was very much warranted. And number two, I feel like Nibiru is really like the divide, right, between viable combo decks and not viable combo decks, right? Like you have to be able to play through this card, pretty consistently. On top of, there's obviously other factors, but I feel like, this is one of them. I wanted to cover it. So let's just get right into it. Obviously the list is very strange and different. It's in an experimental phase right now. Lots of changes happening. I might make a video about all these new changes and additions and stuff and like interactions. But right now, I'm just gonna be focusing on what cards you need to play around like Nibiru optimally, what routes they are, and miss that about. The first route we're gonna cover is actually the one from the Anti-Nibiru video, the first one from a really long time ago. And the reason why is just because I want to cover all the bases. And even though I feel like in the majority of scenarios this route isn't optimal, and it comes with a lot of weaknesses that I think are pretty bad. I don't think they're the best, but it does have its upsides. Number one, it's one of 2 routes that Nibiru will never come out against you, right? You'll never get Nibiru doing this route, and that can be kind of reassuring if you need to make a board against like a slower deck that you don't need a big board against, like say some really simplified back row deck, right, or something like that, and you just want some pretty good disruption against him, and that you can't make a good board. You can't make a board through Nibiru, right? So you do this route. That's about the only scenario where you'd make this, or if you're playing against like some really not the best combo deck or something, and you just need to make a board, through whatever they have, right? Like let's say you play through, it's basically up to your own judgment. But just for just as a general rule, I would not advise you to go for this route in the majority of scenarios. And that's okay. It's just nice to have the option. And I'm just showing you here like what this looks like, what this route looks like, what it does, stuff like that. I just feel like just nice to have just this show. It's nice to show a nice reminder. Covers the principles and basics of the deck too. Obviously 9 pillars, and then all the quick synchro interactions you have. When you leave the last Yang Zing out, I forgot to cover this, but we left Jiaotu out on the board. It really doesn't really matter as long as it's a floating Yang Zing. As long as it's a floating Yang Zing and it's not Pulao, Bien, or another Chiwen. And the reason why it can't be Chiwen is because Chiwen can only activate one of its effects per turn. So if you activate the floating effect, it's special from deck. It won't special itself from graveyard. You don't get the synchro play. And the same thing vice versa. For Pulao and Bien, the reason why you don't summon either of those is because you want to have the option to either go into the Herald or the Baxia play. And summoning one or the other basically locks you into that one route. You just want the option, right? You'd go for the Baxia route, which is, Pulao. Here, I'll show you. So first we're going to always chain block the Jiaotu. Actually, In this scenario, you probably make Jiao 2 Chainlink 2 actually, because they would have asked you. They would have asked you on your turn if they had it. They have to top deck dash. If they had Bell this format, they could Bell Chiwin here. So I'd be worried about Bell instead of Ash in this scenario where they didn't Ash you on your turn. So Chiwin should be Chainlink 1, Jiao 2 Chainlink 2. That's what I think. And then obviously we have counter and Chainlink 3. So like I was saying earlier, don't summon that attack mode. I just was clicking fast. But so Chimin comes out. You choose Bien if you wanted to Bien effect Quick Synchro into the Battle Immune Herald, very standard play that you're familiar with. Or you would summon Pull, which I'm gonna do here just cause I want the Quick Synchro. And then you'd activate it on Resolution of the Chain. 1, 2, 3. 3 different attributes. Back save for 3. Really strong against back row decks specifically because you can just spin through back row like against Eldritch or something. It's just high impact. It's just high impact. But that's this route, right? Very simplified route. Not a lot of thinking to be involved. There's basically only 2 choices they have to deal with mentally. The next route is going to be something very similar in principle, but otherwise it's just better. It's just better. And we're going to show you that right now. We don't need 4 cards for it. We only need 3. Oh, yep. Okay. 3 cards. You only need 3 cards for this route, right? So what this is it's the only other route that I know of, at least, where you're not getting Nibiru at all. You don't have to negate it or anything. You just don't have to worry about it. And I think it's better. You're basically just making a standard board with Hulk under 5 summons. And that's about it. Yeah, that's the best bread and butter of it. Just you're confidently making the standard board and ending main phase without crossing your fingers, right? So it's nice. So 2 summons and then 3, 4. Boom. Chiwin in graveyard, Yang Zing on board to pop with pillars. And in this scenario, you'd have to pop a scale to get the counter. You can't really risk popping the Jiao 2 and getting the floating effect because that'd put you right at 5 summons and bam, Nibiru. So right here, boom, end turn, boom. And in case you guys don't remember what this board does, I can give you a little showcase here. It should be something you're pretty familiar with at this point, but I haven't uploaded in so long. Anyone new watching, you should, it's always nice to share. But Jiao 2 get popped. In this case, same thing. I did it out of habit, but if they didn't ash you on your turn, they don't have Ash, but they might have Bell. So in this scenario as well, you would make Chiwin Chainlink 1, Jiao 2 Chainlink 2. Just in case they have Bell or some, whatever, or dumb card. Anyway, that slight optimization aside, what you're going to do is always Metalfoes counter for stealing, because the synchro we're going to go for is Locust into Omega, as you'll see. Always summon Bien in this scenario, because that's the only quick synchro access we really have access to. So quick synchro into Battle Immune Herald. Pretty strong card, pretty strong, floodgate. Probably wouldn't summon it here. Another slight little thing, but I'm just going through the motions to show you guys just what this should look like for anyone who doesn't know. It's very important that you summon Herald first before Locust for 2 reasons. Number 1, if you're playing around Nibiru, you're assuming they have it, and this right here on their turn is 5 summons. So yeah, you want to be able to have a negate up for Nibiru on their turn, which is pretty funny. If you've seen the table 500 for this deck, then there's a pretty funny interaction that you see in the video where Nibiru is live on his turn, and this order of summons makes it so you just negate it on their turn, and then you'll have the Omega rip. And secondly, it's also important because Locust, when it rips a card out of their hand, if it's a monster, it gets banished. So you'll see here after we quick synchro, boom, discard Chiwin's banished, and then Omega's gonna rip the last card. And we've successfully stopped our opponent from playing, If they had Nibiru in hand, they tried to use it. We negated it. They got a card negated. They lost 2 cards from hand. So pretty strong, pretty strong. That route, I always, similar reasoning for when you would go for the first route. Like, you need to be able to make a board through possible Nibiru in hand, and you just need to be able to make a board, and you're confident that the board you make, the standard board, is enough to, standard board already is enough to beat most decks, right? So if you're able to confidently make it, just go for it. Like I said, it's really case by case. Really takes a lot of knowledge about what your deck does, what it can do. But in this scenario, this is going to be 3 separate routes. They use different cards, but they have the same principle, right? So this hand, this, for reference, this will be above 5 summons, right? We're gonna be above 5 summons, but the idea is that we're gonna be able to set ourselves up to where even if we do get Nibiru, we just play through it. And the main way we're doing that is by saving our Pendulum summon, right? For this specific route for Anti-Nibiru, you can't start with Chiwin because Chiwin's graveyard effect has to be live, so we can't pop it for a float. So boom, we Magician Souls, we draw a Zing, pretty good top deck. At this point, we Hulk, and then we always summon Jiao2 in this scenario for this play. So the idea is that right now this is summon 5. If the Nibiru right now, at earliest as possible, we have a Pendulum summon. The rest of your hand is going to be situational, right? It's always going to be your call how you do the play or what, whatever. But if you have Zephyr Niu in hand and like Yang Zings, the Pendulum summon, then you're just basically, you're making full combo. You're making a strong board anyway, doing the Nibiru, and now they're down a card, right? Of the Nibiru right here, you have Chiwin live and grave, all that. You're in a good spot. You're in a good spot. If they hold a Nibiru for whatever reason, you want to make sure that you actually have a way, like you can't just like rely on the threat of making something that stops Nibiru for them to use it, especially if they're a really good player and they're just like, just reading you out what your deck does. In this case, Jiao2 effect, you pop the Jiao2, make Chiwin and Jiao2 live. And in this case, another decision based upon what you have in hand. If you need Zephyr Niu, you would summon Zephyr Niu, turn everything into Appaloosa. Easy, easy, simple solution. Guarantees your Pendulum summon safe, and basically the rest of your play is safe from any hand trap they have that they haven't used yet, right? So that's when you summon Zephyr Niu. And this, obviously in this case where we only open 3 cards, that's when we would summon Zephyr Niu, right? You would summon Zephyr Niu here. If you already have Zephyr Niu and you just want to make a negate just to double make sure, and they haven't Nibiru'd yet, you would summon either Zefraxi, which is the higher value play technically, because you'll synchro with it, it'll be put in the extra deck, and you'll Pendulum summon it back. Or you could just summon the Bien and just make the Battle Immune Herald on your turn. Usually I would go with the Bien play, but just for the sake of, just showing you what you're supposed to do, we're just going to make the Appaloosa and just, And it's also, in this scenario also, getting the Nibiru when you're going for the Zephyr Niu is just better, because right now, for any casual, for any uninformed opponent you have about your deck, they see 4 link materials on board, and usually they just straight up, Nibiru when there's actually a threat of Appaloosa coming out. Even if they Nibiru right here, we're still getting Zephyr Niu. We're still saving your Pendulum summon. But, boom, too late. Sorry, negated. And then you just go on from there, depending on your hand and what board you might need for certain matchups, right? A lot of value judgments you got to make there, but this is the high ceiling. This is the high ceiling this deck operates at. You got to be able to make those calls. So that's one method. And just like earlier, not too complicated. Just if you're looking at the route itself and not, what the rest of your hand looks like, because your only 2 choices is either you're making the Appaloosa to stop Nibiru if you need the Zephyr Niu, or you're making the Herald to stop Nibiru if you just already have the Zephyr Niu but still want to negate. That's about it. And it's going to be very similar. It's going to be kind of similar. We're going to go with Adhara. It's good to keep in mind that all the level 1, like all the plays that require like level 1 Anti-Nibiru combos, like we have Jack in Hand in deck. And Jack in Hand is guaranteeing you either add Chiwin, Zephyr, or Chiwin, Adhara, or Magician Souls. I'm just trying to find a copy of my deck. I don't know why it's so hard to find one for you guys to see what I'm talking about. But you reveal 3, you're for sure either adding Adhara or Souls, because you get to reveal both. And both of them are Anti-Nibiru routes. So, pretty good. It's pretty good. This is going to utilize the scrap engine. You might have seen them in the deck. And it will sort of showcase what it does and what it accomplishes for the deck. So, you know, pretty good time for that to be shown. So any Yang Zing normal summon's fine. There's not really any preference. Technically, I guess having Chiwin, starting with Chiwin would be best here. Just have it set up in grave. But you know, whatever. So right now you pop the Yang Zing and you're always going to summon different Neo. And obviously we're going to be setting combination because we need to finish our scales. Boom. So basically, this is basically just like Adhara plus any Yang Zing or Adhara, basically like anything Hulk. If you solely just need something to force Nibiru, then anything that leads to Hulk will do it. This is just generally the highest, like the most viable way to do this, just because you're setting up Zephyr Neo in the extra deck. So if you do get Nibiru'd, worst case scenario, you're still Pendulum summoning Zephyr Neo and getting 9 Pillar Search, plus whatever you have in hand, right? So anyway, put these 2 into Hulk. You're gonna summon the Scrap Worm from the deck. Link these 2 into Wyvern. We've, you know, right now this is summon like 6, 7. I think it's 7. So you can be Nibiru'd right here. But you know, if they hold it, like there's no real reason for them to do it because you haven't Pendulum summoned yet. You know, they might want to stop Wyvern, but the idea is that you're forcing the Nibiru before you Pendulum summon. If you have a 5-card hand, it's pretty likely that you at least have something, something to Pendulum with, and if not, then, you know, I guess you didn't really open that well. But the majority of the time, it's forcing Nibiru, and then you can just keep playing from there. That's the idea. If they Nibiru here after I activate Wyvern effect, I'm getting full scales guaranteed. So, and I'm getting the Scrap Worm out. So right at this point, it's too late. At that point where I activate this, there's no way they can stop me from being able to play. But so Worm effect for Golem, boom, another card, and combination is gonna pop. We get the full scales, easy peasy. And then Golem's gonna revive, and then we make Appaloosa. So bam, we've protected our Pendulum summon. The idea is to protect your Pendulum summon from Nibiru, right? Just having backup plays saved. You know, that's the idea. And then boom, and then you have Pendulum Scales. You have the rest of your hand to play with, and the Zephyr Neo that's set up in your deck for free. So that's nice. And then finally, the last example of a route that will let you play around Nibiru. That's the same thing. You either choose between. It's similar to the, you know, there's gonna be a lot more prevalent in the more budget decks that are playing higher copies of Vishuddha. Right now, I'm only playing 1 copy for the Yazi combo, but similar principle. You're choosing between Herald or Appaloosa. It's just like the Souls, just like Magician Souls route. You're choosing between Herald or the Appaloosa depending on what your hand needs, either Zephyr Neo access or just, you know, a Herald. For this setup, you can't open Chiwin because you can't pop Chiwin for Chiwin, so and you need to pop something for the scale. I mean, if you open Chiwin and a different card to pop, like a Oracle or something like that, it's situational, right? Situationally, you can always fix any hand that might seem really restrictive or need these requirements. You know, like I said, a lot of judgment calls you got to make. But these into Hulk, we've set up Chiwin in the graveyard without using an effect. get Jiaotu from the deck, and then right from this point onward, same line of play. Exact same line of play as before. So I don't really need to field to cover that. That was, I think we're at, I think that was 5. There's 4 methods we covered. Nope, 5. Okay, so that was 5 different methods. You might have noticed, but I'm kind of cheating a little bit, counting them, because if you really break it down, the route with Souls, Adhara, or Vishuddha, they basically run down. Well, actually, Adhara uses the scrap combo, but basically they break down into the same kind of route. But I figured 9 sounded better than 7, right? We gotta really clickbait these titles here. You know what I mean? I gotta game the system. Yeah, that's my excuse. The next route is gonna be a lot more situational because you're gonna have to hard draw Gamma. Gamma is actually, I'm gonna go on a little tangent here while I set up this hand. All you need is basically Gamma and a combo hand, right? That gives you like extra monsters or something like that, so it's fine. So I'll show you what I mean. So we're gonna go does this hand work? Yeah. Well, we'll throw in a high scale just in case it doesn't work. Yeah, you just want anything that's like a full combo hand like this, just high quality hand, and also have Gamma in hand. So it's not gonna always be an option for you, but this is, whenever I have Gamma in hand, I almost always try to go for this route if it's viable, right? And most of the time it is. And if it's not, Gamma is protecting you from other hand traps, like, for example, Gamma on Yang Zing Pop or Ash on Yang Zing Pop, right? Gamma, control no monsters. It's really solid interaction. In this scenario, I'd probably summon Chiwin. It depends on what you might need, right? So, for example, if you needed to combo 100%, right? Like you think like the chance of your draws being no good, you would summon Jiaotu instead of Chiwin. And the reason why you do that is because Jiaotu with Souls, well, basically, if you summon Jiaotu, then you can do full combo. But if you don't summon Jiaotu, then it's going to be kind of dependent on what you draw. But so, for example, with this hand here, it's actually pretty good. It's actually a pretty respectable hand. What I would do. Oh, wait, hold on, wait a minute. We got one more draw. I want to shoot the gun. Okay, see, this is perfect. It's actually insane. If they Nibiru here, before I reach the Lambda, actually, how many summons are we at? This is summon 5 right here. So they have to Nibiru us right here. And if they do, we drew the cards to keep playing. We drew the Zephyr target. We drew we drew a tuner to special summon when we just have Nibiru token, and then we just make we just hard make the second Hulk. So these draws supplemented with the Gamma, are pretty solid. I think they're pretty good. But in this case, we'd pop the Jiaotu, Chiwin F. I figured if they didn't Ash us, I guess play around Bell. I don't know. Bell is such a formidable card this format. I might as well respect it. So yeah, in this scenario, if they Nibiru here, then you still have a Pendulum summon. Now you have Zephyr set up. You can search the Fraxi. Once again, you can special this. You have a lot of different plays you have access to. But now, bam, you make Lambda, right? And then another scenario, let's say our hand was a lot more here. Actually, this is a perfect example. Let's say our hand wasn't with this. Well, actually, yeah. Let's say it was Saphrath. Saphrath, this. Adhara. Instead of just basically the way to make this work the best is just have an extender, right? There's a lot of different ways you can access extenders in this deck. We have Wear Off Dial. We have Jack in Hand, which is guaranteed add. Vishuddha would also work. For this circumstances. But you'll see. Actually, we could just have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 card hand. Yeah, that's fine. So for example, this way, this is a similar philosophy to having under 5 summons, right? You just do this. You'd probably Swanee pop for Zephraniu, or no, Zefraxi, because we have a scale. In this case, you would just do that. Boom. You'd summon the Zefraxi. And that's all. Any hand trap they have at this point, like, we can negate it with our own Gamma. So we're in a pretty good spot. And then we do not get to set up the Chi one in the graveyard. Just because the hand, I mean, it really depends on your hand. But I would rather go this route because it's still essentially 4 disruptions. You're replacing the ability to Herald negate and have Herald, like Battle Immune Herald. You're replacing that with Lambda. So, actually, there's a lot of clues I could show where I do this a lot, this route. I think it's really strong for protecting from hand traps. And if you can't make it before, if you're Nibiruable and stuff, but you don't get Nibirued, you just add Lambda to your board. Now you have a hard monster negate, right? So I think it's pretty good. I think it's a pretty respectable card. And you have a lot of top deck. Gamma, not too good. So first, let's just say you had Hara, right, or whatever. Boom. And then let's say he Gold Driver, right, or whatever. 9 Pillars Gold Driver. In this case, since we didn't, it's a judgment call, right? If you would go for the backseat here or the Omega, I'd probably just go for the backseat, just shuffle both scales, or maybe even shuffle the monster. Boom. It's a tough call. It's a tough call you gotta make. Maybe you just hold it. Maybe you just hold. I think you just hold in this scenario. You don't know what their cards are. Let's say he normal summons. I don't always chain. Let's say normal summons. Can't have that. Right? So I'm gonna backseat him. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's specifically because Swanee's bigger than Lambda, so I don't want him to reach battle phase and discard my attack over my my Lambda. I think it's rather vital that doesn't happen. Boom. So you can see it just Lambda will protect your boards from a lot of different hand traps, and I think I would recommend main decking it if you can find the room, and also just having a hand trap in the main deck for I mean, you basically need hand traps somewhere in this format with VW and Drytron, and the fact that it can negate VFD, unless they open really well and make, Shadow, Gossip Shadow. So I would recommend main decking Gamma. So that was the 7th method. I'm bad at numbers. The number's hard. 6th method. We're at 6. Hard drawing Gamma and making Lambda is the 6th method to outplaying Nibiru. Once again, well, I don't know if I said this already, so I don't know why I said once again, but this isn't a hard solved route, right? Like, there's not going to be step by step what you would do. It's always hand dependent, always dependent on what your hand needs. I can show you. I can do a replay video, with examples of all these routes. If what I'm saying is confusing, if you guys need some more explanations, that's perfectly fine. There's a hard deck. It's complicated. I must play with it way more than I should, and this is literally the only deck I play. So, it's okay to find this really confusing and hard. But I'm here to help if you ever want to learn anything. Next, 7th method of playing around Nibiru is saving your normal summon. So what I mean is, if you have a extra Yangzing in hand, or an extra special summonable tuner, or a normal summonable tuner even. So if you have like Adhara or Scrapworm, or whatever. And in this scenario, I'm gonna give myself Nibiru. I'm gonna give myself Nibiru. Just to make it 6. Oh, it's on my side. I'm gonna make it 6 cards, just so we can fit like a standard combo hand in Nibiru. Oh, it's not gonna let me save and go back to edit it. Okay, so 1, 2, and then let's say you had a Swanee. I guess we don't need 6 cards. I was wrong. You need 5 cards to represent that. Okay, so here's what this would look like. You would boom, put on normal chain. So you're just doing the same standard stuff, like, you know, this is pretty easy. This is hand solved out for us. Pendulum. You save the Swanee. You save your normal summon, right? And then Zafraxi, standard stuff. This is the easiest version of reaching the standard board. It's the easiest route, in my opinion. You know, just everything just cycles into itself so well, and there's not too much to think about. Right now, we're at summon 4 after Hulk resolves. We're gonna pop the Chi-Wind for drought 2, and then boom, we're gonna get smacked. We're gonna get smacked with the Nibiru right after this resolves. Boom, and then we get Nibiru, right? That is perfectly fine. He probably summoned it not in attack mode. Oh, oops. Oh yeah, drought 2 is not there. But also, I guess another thing to note is if you wanted to stop at Chi-Wind, like this becomes 9 pillars, pop Chi-Wind for Big C, and then make Baxia or Omega off counter, and they discard a card. You know, so once again, if you really need to make a board and you're really scared of Nibiru, and you think this board will be strong enough for the matchup, then you can stick with it. But you know, you shouldn't always limit your plays in fear of Nibiru. You have to get the read. You have to have justifiable reasons to think they have Nibiru, right? Like if it's game 2 or 3, you know, then you might want to keep Nibiru in mind. If you've seen him use it, either game 1, 2, or 3, definitely, you know, something you want to keep in mind, at least to play around. But you know, ultimately, this is just as good, realistically, because 9 pillars Baxia Locust is taking care of 3 cards. Nibiru is 1 card taken care of, and then we just normal summon Swanee, and this is 2 negates. It's 2 Omni negates. So it's still 3 cards taken care of, the Nibiru and the 2 negates we're gonna get. So, you know, boom. This could be pretty, you know, to your opponent, this might seem like, oh, you know, what he just, you know, whatever, right? But this may or may not be enough to stop your opponent, which is why, like, you know, a lot of really matchup dependent, right? Like against this hand, if I was playing against alternate timeline version of myself, you know, I would probably struggle to out, you know, because any 2 scales he negates, I can't really do anything, right? So like, it really depends. There's a lot of factors to keep in mind. I don't even want to think about this too much when playing it out, you know, because it's just, maybe, you know, it might not, because 2 Omni negates might not be enough, you know, against certain decks. Like if you're playing against Drytron, and they open really well, like they open like, you know, Fafnir, and they already have Benton in hand and Alpha, you know, at some point there's not much you can do. If they drew the Nibiru and they drew a really good hand, like they'll play through 2 negates easily and kill you, because the goal here is to not die, right? Because this deck, you know, it has really good recoverability and recurability, and if you can survive, you know, if you can stun your opponent enough with your negates to at least survive the turn, you know, we have full pendulum scales up, we have counter live in the graveyard, you know, we have a lot of different cards we have access to. So, but like I said, saving normal summon, you know, bam, for Nibiru, it's always going to be pretty high value. So let's say you didn't draw an extra Yang Zing, right? Let's say you drew, well, I guess Chi-Wind is not the Yang Zing you just want to leave on normal summon, because popping Chi-Wind for 9 pillars, you don't get the Herald, right? So that's unfortunate. You know, it's unfortunate that you drew this. what you do instead is you just hard make the second Hulk and just use the Hulk effect for Marcher and revive Jiaotu, and then you have the 2 negates again. The thing about this is they get to activate 1 card guaranteed, right? Just because you can't use Hulk effect in their main phase without them passing priority first by activating a card or doing an action, right? So you see what I mean here. But anyway, so like I said, so I was saying like earlier, if you wanted to stop right at Chiwin off Hulk, you know, that's viable too. I guess maybe it should be 10 different routes to play around Nibiru, you know, 10 different methods to play around Nibiru, you know. But you know, I never really do that very often, if at all, just because you know, just because I don't really want to make my boards weaker to play around Nibiru. If I already have a way to play around it confidently, like Chiwin, I'm always gonna go for my standard board, right? Because I want at least, you know, a decent amount of disruption. So there's no reason for me to be afraid of it if I have some sort of counterplay. So boom, I get Nibiru. That's terrible. It's so sad. Oh no. He was summoned in attack mode. Normal summon Chiwin. Make Hulk, which is also signifies why it's really important. You always summon Jiaotu always summon Jiaotu off palping. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Always summon Jiaotu off of popping Chiwin, right? Just because now you have a Yang Zing name engraved that's not Chiwin to revive off Metal Marcher, right? Another little tidbit you'd have to keep in mind if you want to play around Nibiru this way, right? So you just make the second Hulk, you set 9 pillars, pass. Let's say he activates Zephyr, you shotgun Hulk immediately and get the Marcher for Jiaotu, and then bam, we have the 2 Omni negates, right? Marcher is used for a lot of different stuff. You know, you might think it's kind of like a filler card, right? And honestly, you know, it just having the options. There's so many options that it lets you have and provide and stuff like that. So that's why we're playing it. One of which is this scenario right here. So now you have 2 negates. He has 4 cards in hand. You know, I think you have pretty decent odds of being able to play around it. You know, so it's just up to you. You know, what you negate in this scenario, in this weird hypothetical mirror match. You know, even though you're never gonna really find somebody who's gonna play this deck in this way, unless you run into me. You know, that would suck. But the 8th method, or the 8th way, is saving your Pendulum summon. So there are certain hands. Well, you know, I guess number 8 is just saving your Pendulum summon, right? Which kind of encompasses the majority of these options. You just want to play in a way that you're special summoning a bunch of times before you Pendulum summon to bait Nibiru, and then if you do get Nibiru'd, then you have your Pendulum summon, right? That's just kind of like abstract, like how to play around it, you know, just in general playing this deck. Like if you open a really good hand, you know, that lets you like Souls and like Mithrium, and, you know, Mithrium Flow and stuff like that. Yeah. Then, actually, I'll just do an example. Let's say we opened, I guess we can't really use Nibiru in the example anymore, but let's say we opened like Souls. I mean, this is going to look a lot similar to like what we were already doing. You know what I mean? So, actually, it probably wouldn't be Zephyr. Well, whatever. Doesn't matter. Let's just play through it. Boom. Dang, you know what? I should get myself Nibiru in this case, just so you can see what it looks like. Number 6. Just so you know what you should be looking out for. We're gonna Souls right away. I mean, your order of cards, how relevant they're gonna be, depends on the knowledge you have from your game playing so far. You know, just a lot of things to keep in mind in this kind of scenario. But let's say we kept our Pendulum summon and we're doing a play to force Nibiru out, right? And this is going to be a lot of different variations to this hand. I'll let you do that, you know. Ooh, that's a really good draw. That's nice. I don't know what I would use it on in this right here, right now. You could use it to search out Hara. If you add Hara, or let's just pretend, you know, that was a legit draw. It's not cheating. It's not stacking. That was a legit random draw. I'm pretty sure how this, you know, how the shuffling system works. So boom, you pop, bam. So not knowing that my opponent has Nibiru, I'm not gonna pretend I do know, even though we all know, right? I mean, it's not rocket science. But I would, you know, I would summon Bean from the deck and Chiwin from grave. That's what I would do. So boom, boom. Out to Bean, and then bam, we get Nibiru. Boom. You know, they see 4 they see 4 link materials, and they're like, stop. Cease. That's enough. They wouldn't summon in defense. I'm just clicking buttons, but now, you know, since that top deck we didn't really need this top deck because we have Zefraxi. We have Zefraxi, Zephyr to Pendulum summon. So this top deck wasn't super needed, but at the same time, you know, I'm not gonna complain. It's nice. It's nice to have. What I would do. Well, what you would do, right, in this scenario is just pen these, make Zephyr a tuner, hard make, oops, did I just pen one? I heard pen one, oops. Well, you get the gist, right? You pen Zephyr and Zefraxi, make Zephyr a tuner, if we didn't get the Adhara, right? And then make these two into Hulk, and Zefraxi is a 9 pillars target, and then you self counter, so then you're still doing Locust into Omega. So that's 3 disruptions. Not, you know, not amazing disruptions, but like I said, it's going to be really dependent upon what you're playing against. It's not going to look like Pens if you pass. You know, you could make something a little better than that, but we just misclicked. And honestly, I'm kind of tired. I've been recording, so. Oh wait, wait. Oh wow, yeah. So I just forgot that Adhara could be live here. So what we could do also is Adhara. So we pendulum summon these two, make this a tuner. Adhara add Chiwin, and then we make Shaman and revive one of the Yang Zings. We're back to 2 negates, right? So now you decide between having the 2 negates or having a negate plus Herald into Omega. So, you know, that's your value judgment. But I guess I'll cheat. I'll count that as a route 8. You know, whatever. Because it looks different. It looks different, so it counts. And the last method, requires you to play Chaofeng, right? Depending on your list, you know, if you have your different ratios and stuff. I was maining Chaofeng for a while, until I switched it out, you know, for Scrap Wyvern. But usually, whatever. Let's cut it. Usually I side out Chaofeng when going first, and then I would take out these two and probably just put in something that's relevant against the matchup. Like I'd probably put in like a Feather Duster and a Reboot for a back row matchup just to have access to, even just a combo. The Chaofeng is also a method by which you can play around Nibiru, because you just make light Chaofeng and turn off Nibiru. And the main way that you'd usually be able to do this is via Vishuddha, right? So we only need 3 cards this time. Just 3 cards. The main way you do this is with Vishuddha, but there's a lot of different hands where you just open nuts and you just get a lot of monsters on board, right? And you can either go for an Appaloosa in that scenario, or you can make Chaofeng. You know, just have to order your cards correctly. Gold Driver, boom. So it's going to be dependent upon what the rest of your hand is, right? Whether you go this route, or you go the Herald route, or you go the Appaloosa route. The advantages of having Chaofeng is already, like, Chaofeng's pretty good against a lot of different matchups. Well, I say, it's good against Eldritch Zoo. It turns off Golden Lord hand effect, and it turns off Zeus effect, right? If you're pairing it with a different negate or something, then, you know, they can't Drytron, you know. There's a lot of different, it's just nice. It's good against Drytron, obviously. It's an auto win in that matchup, right? So, yeah. Yeah, I take that, right? They can't really they can't really out Light Chao-Fang at all, actually, if you just have it out. It's kind of like being VFD'd, but worse because, well, worse? It's not worse. It's not as bad as being VFD. We're not that degenerate, but it's pretty bad. It's pretty unplayable for them. But yeah, just something like this, easy peasy. Boom. I think this is summon. This is definitely like summon 5, I think. Oh. Yeah, this is summon 5. So there's no real reason why someone would debut right here, honestly. Doesn't really make much sense. Just having 2 cards. We have full Pendulum Scales just added, right? They probably hold it for something else. And then bam. We make Chao-Fang. And we still have a Pendulum Summon live. So if we had Zephyr New with this setup and this hand already, or like plus, other cards, we're in a pretty good spot. So this is just, just making Chao-Fang with light, with either Baxia or Chi-Win, either or. This is just something, this is not a route, like it's not going to be planned out when you have this opening hand or this and this, except with Vishuda, right? If you have the cards you need. Just another value judgment call, right? If you have the hand that can special summon a lot of stuff and you think you can make the Chao-Fang, then you can go for it. Yeah, just different methods for different things. And beyond that, the secret 10th method, that's right. I'm going to add, originally this title was only 9 methods, but I'm adding a secret 10th for people who reach the end. They're going to be confused, like, why you said 10 in the title? He said 10 in the title. The secret 10th method is just playing, right? Or actually, I'm lying. It's not just playing. Another way is to make Herald before your, I did it in a duel before. I'm just shotgunning my memory with it. This is all going to be one take anyway, so I think it was something like, this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops. I think it was a hand like this. It doesn't necessarily have to be this hand, but this is just the hand in memory that I have. But yeah. So what happened was special Adhara. Boom. I think I had Zefraxi. No, I had I didn't have Stealing. I lied. I didn't have Stealing. I had Zefraxi. I had Zefrath. Instead of Stealing. If you have this setup, actually the souls isn't even needed. So you just boom, boom. Well, actually, I guess it might be needed. It doesn't matter. You just need something that's it's just a hand. It's basically just a hand where you have a lot of monsters, specifically Adhara. Just have a tuner on board to like make stuff with. But what you would do is pop this. It's a combination. Use it to draw. Have Bismugear. Draw Zing, that's nice. Pop this. So we're at summon. This is gonna be summon 4. This is summon 4. There's a counter. I'm not remembering this exactly. I just thought of it in a duel I had not too long ago. I'm like, whoa, that was sick. I want to do that. So here we are. I think what I did was you either summon, it depends on your hand, right? I don't think this is the hand I had. I basically had full combo, and then like 2 really good extenders. And in that scenario, there's no real way you lose in the Nibiru anyway, as long as you're ordering your cards correctly. But I was like, man, just being, probably I'd just be in here. Battle Mean Herald early. Boom, boom. We don't get the setup. With this hand, we didn't get to set up the. Oops, I don't know why I decided not to do that, but we didn't get to set up the synchro play because we don't have Chi-Win engrave. But I'm just I'm trying to fit it 10th method just to be funny, but I don't think I have it. Sorry, guys. But basically, the secret 10th method that I won't put in the title because I couldn't figure it out just from memory is just wing it. You know, you have all the tools you need to negate Nibiru early, or you know, Chaofeng or whatever, right? You have Chaofeng, you have Herald, you have Appaloosa, you have Gamma in hand. You know, there's a lot of different methods by which to negate Nibiru. You just have to figure out with your hand and what plays you have available, which is the best for you, right? And that's what the ultimate purpose of this video is, to help you be able to do that the majority of the time you're playing. So there you go. I don't know how you know, upload schedule obviously is very inconsistent. You know, what the heck? What's wrong with my side? Oh yeah. Whatever. Oops. I'll just reset it. Upload schedule is pretty inconsistent. I don't know. I'm just having a lot of, you know, like pride troubles, I guess. You know, seeing my videos, and you know, I wish I could. I was thinking of learning to do all the editing, all the like really presentable content. You know, for viewers, because I think, you know, I think you guys deserve better than just me talking over, you know, Edo Pro playing in the background. You know, it's just kind of, it's sort of, you know, shoddy work. You know, so I guess it's kind of a motivation thing, and also like, you know, I don't feel like I'm making good content. You know, I just want to be able to share this information in a way that's easy to digest and stuff in a video format, but at the same time, I'm kind of maybe, you know, maybe I'm holding myself too high of a standard. You know, something that takes time, right? And also, like, I don't really make scripts, and I stutter a lot, I mumble, you know, but that's just something that has to improve with time, I guess. If you're still watching up to this point, thanks for hearing me ramble about, you know, why videos haven't been coming out as consistency can. See what I mean? You see what I mean? You see what I'm talking about, dude? Like, I don't know. When I'm making videos, I'm just sitting down and recording. It's just weird, you know. But thanks for bearing with me. You know, so this is gonna be a pretty long video. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be at least an hour long. I'm pretty sure. If you stuck around for this long, I really appreciate it. Thanks. If you liked the video, or if you wanted questions, if you needed more questions or anything, there's a Discord link in the description, or there should be, unless I forgot, which is entirely possible. But Discord, a lot of cool people in my Discord, where I think I'm really happy to have this community that I didn't like craft, right? There's people who are interested in the Yang Zings way before I did, but you know, before I came around, right? But it's just cool to have people who, you know, have this similar interest, and I can help and teach and stuff, right? So if you want to be a part of that, please join. You know, no dumb questions. There's no dumb questions. You know, because I know this is gonna this isn't as concise as I wanted it to be, right? So, you know, oops. Any clarification you need, just ask. Anyway, I think that'll be it for me. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and until next time, peace.